The beginning every story has a beginning, but Muzan Kibutsuji's beginning was cursed. He was born more than 1,000 years ago, during the Heian era of Japan. Even before his first breath, death haunted him while still inside his mother's womb. His heart would stop beating, his body would go still, making the midwives believe he had died. His mother suffered greatly, and when he was finally born, he was pale, silent, and cold. The attendants prepared his funeral. They believed the child had no life. His tiny body was set aside, ready to be burned. But at the very last moment, just before the fire touched him, the baby suddenly gasped and let out a cry. That child was Muzan Kibutsuji. It should have been called a miracle. But it was not for Muzan. This strange start marked the beginning of a life filled with pain, cruelty, and a fear of death that would never leave him. A sickly child, Muzan grew up weak and sickly. He was not like other children who ran, laughed, and played. His body betrayed him every day. He coughed blood, his limbs felt heavy. His chest hurt as though a great weight pressed on him. Doctors examined him and gave their grim verdict. Muzan would not live past the age of 20. His organs were too fragile, his heart too unstable. His future was a short one. For most children, death is a faraway thought. But for Muzan, death was always close. It was in his mother's eyes when she looked at him with worrying. It was in the whispers of neighbors who pitied the sickly boy. It was in the words of every doctor who shook his head and said, "This child will not survive long." This constant reminder carved itself into Muzan's heart. Instead of accepting his weakness, he began to hate it. He hated his fragile body. He hated the idea of being powerless. And most of all, he hated death. This hatred, this fear, became the core of who Muzan was. The doctor and the blue spider lily. As Muzan grew older, his condition worsened. Desperate, his family sought every possible cure. Finally, they found a doctor who claimed to know of a rare flower called the blue spider lily. This flower bloomed only in the day, only a few days each year, and was nearly impossible to find. But the doctor believed he could use it in a medicine that might save Muzan's life. With no other choice, Muzan's family agreed. The doctor began his treatment, mixing the rare flower into strange medicines and feeding them to the young man. But the cure did not seem to work. Muzan's body grew weaker. His sickness did not leave. He felt his chest tighten, his blood burn, his strength drain. Anger boiled inside him. Rage at the doctor for giving him false hope. Rage at his family for trusting this treatment. Rage at himself for being so weak. One night, convinced that the doctor had failed him, Muzan struck him down and killed him. But fate played a cruel trick. Shortly after, Muzan began to change. His weakness faded, his lungs cleared, his body grew stronger, faster, sharper than ever before. For the first time in his life, he felt powerful, but there was a price. When he stepped into the sunlight, his skin burned, a terrible hunger clawed at his stomach, demanding flesh and blood. His body was no longer human. The medicine had saved his life, but at a terrible cost. Muzan had become the first demon, and because he killed the doctor, he destroyed the only man who fully understood the medicine. The secret of the blue spider lily was lost. The birth of a demon at first, Muzan was overjoyed by his new strength. After years of weakness, he now possessed power greater than any man. He could run faster than a horse. He could shatter stone. With his bare hands, his wounds closed instantly. He could not be killed, but his joy quickly turned to frustration. The sun, once warm and life-giving, became his enemy. Its rays burned his flesh, reducing it to ash. He could only move freely under the cover of night. And worse, the hunger never left. Human food no longer nourished him. Only flesh and blood could sustain him. He became a predator of his own kind. Muzan hated this weakness. Immortality meant nothing if he could not walk in the sun. He began searching for a way to overcome it. He remembered the doctor's medicine and the rare blue spider lily. Perhaps with it, he could perfect his transformation. But no matter how hard he searched, he never found the flower. The blue spider lily bloomed only briefly, and only in the daylights exactly when Muzan could not walk the earth. Thus began Muzan's endless obsession. Muzan's experiments. Muzan soon discovered that his blood carried power. If he gave it to a human, it could transform them into a demon like him. But most people who received his blood died instantly, their bodies unable to handle its corruption. A few survived and became demons, gaining strength and supernatural powers. Muzan did not see them as companions. They were tools, experiments. If even one of them developed the ability to withstand the sun, he planned to devour them and take that ability for himself. This was Muzan's true goal, to become the perfect being, free of all weakness. But until then, he ruled over his creations with cruelty and fear. Muzan's cruelty. Even before becoming a demon, Muzan was cruel. As a human, he married 5 times. Each wife found him cold and frightening. He insulted them, beat them, and treated them as worthless. Each one eventually took her own life. Muzan felt no grief. To him, they were weak and disposable. When he became a demon, his cruelty grew worse. One day, a woman named Tamayo begged him for help. She was sick and near death. Muzan gave her his blood, turning her into a demon, but Tamayo lost control. She killed her own husband and children in a frenzy of hunger. When she realized what had happened, she was devastated. Muzan told her coldly, "This is who you are now." From that moment, Tamayo's hatred for Muzan burned deeply. She swore she would one day destroy him. The creation of Kakashiboring the Sengoku era, Muzan encountered Michikatsu Tsugikuni, the twin brother of Yoriichi Tsugikuni, the greatest demon slayer to ever live. Michikatsu was skilled, but he lived in his brother's shadow. No matter how hard he tried, he could not match Yoriichi. Jealousy consumed him. When Muzan approached, Michikatsu listened. Muzan offered him what he always desired, power and freedom from death. Michikatsu accepted. He drank Muzan's blood and became Kakashibo, upper rank, one of the 12 Kazuki. With his immense strength, Kakashibo served Muzan for centuries as his most loyal and dangerous demon. The 12 Kizukido command his growing army. Muzan formed the 12 Kazuki, his strongest demons. They were divided into upper and lower ranks. The lower ranks were weak and easily replaced. Muzan killed them without hesitation whenever they failed him. The upper ranks, however, were terrifying. Each one had survived for centuries, mastering their blood demon arts. They were Muzan's chosen, his generals, spreading fear across Japan. But Muzan never trusted them. He could read their thoughts, hear their doubts. He kept them loyal through fear alone. For Muzan, the 12 Kazuki were pawns in his endless search for perfection. The fear of Yoriichi. Despite all his power, Muzan knew fear. That fear had a name. Yoriichi Tsugikuni. Yoriichi was the creator of sun breathing, the original style from which all other breathing techniques descended. His skill was unmatched, his strength legendary. When Muzan and Yoriichi fought, Muzan believed himself invincible. His body contained multiple hearts and brains, hidden in strange places. No sword had ever truly harmed him, but Yoriichi's blade cut with perfect precision. He struck all of Muzan's hidden organs in a single moment. For the first time, Muzan felt terror. He split his body into 1,800 pieces, trying to escape. Yoriichi destroyed almost all of them, but a small handful slipped away. Muzan survived, but he was left scarred both in body and in spirit. From that day, he feared sun breathing above all else. He hunted down every user, determined to erase the technique from history. And he never forgot Yoriichi, the one man who nearly ended him. Muzan in the Taisho era, the mask of humanity. Centuries passed. Japan changed. The world moved from swords and horsemen to trains, electricity, and cities glowing with lanterns. But Muzan remained. To hide, he took on many forms. Sometimes he was a child, sometimes a woman, sometimes a pale man in fine clothing. His body could shift and change at will, making him nearly impossible to track. In the Taisho era, he lived as a wealthy man with a human wife and even a young daughter. To the outside world, He appeared normal, a loving husband, a doting father. He walked under the bright city lights, blending into crowds, impossible to recognize, but beneath the mask, nothing had changed. Muzan still despised humans. He still longed for the day he could conquer the sun. He still carried the rage of centuries. Even in his false family, he felt nothing. His wife loved him, his daughter trusted him. To Muzan, they were merely disguises, shields to keep suspicion away. He had no love in his heart. He only had ambition. The Kamado family Muzan's obsession with conquering the sun drove him to constant experiments. He poured his blood into countless victims, hoping one would adapt and develop resistance to sunlight. Most failed. Some died instantly, their bodies burning from within. Others became demons but never gained the ability he sought. Then came the Kamado family. Living quietly in the mountains, they seemed unremarkable. But when Muzan encountered them, he saw a chance. He slaughtered nearly the entire family, turning their blood into a cruel experiment. But one girl survived, Nezuko Kamado. Instead of being destroyed by Muzan's blood, Nezuko adapted. She became a demon, yet something was different about her. Unlike others, she could resist sunlight. At first, it seemed impossible. A demon standing under the sun should crumble into ash. But Nezuko endured. The impossible had become real for Muzan. This was both thrilling and terrifying. If he could consume Nezuko, he could finally overcome his greatest weakness. He could rule not just the night, but the day as well. He would be truly invincible. From that moment, Muzan set his eyes on Nezuko. Muzan's wrath. The lower ranks slaughter Muzan demanded results from his demons. But when they failed, he unleashed his fury. After a series of battles where demons were slain by the Demon Slayer Corps, Muzan summoned the lower ranks of the 12 Kazuki to his castle, the Infinity Castle. They bowed before him, trembling, awaiting orders. Instead, Muzan unleashed his rage. One by one, he killed them. His body twisted, forming tendrils of flesh that pierced, crushed, and shredded. Their screams filled the endless castle as they begged for mercy, but Muzan had none. He declared the lower ranks worthless, weak, useless to his cause. By the end, only one remained, Enmu. Enmu begged for the chance to fight, to prove himself. He swore loyalty. Muzan spared him, but only as a tool. Enmu would later be sent to kill Tanjiro Kamado and capture Nezuko. This massacre showed the truth. Muzan ruled through fear. To him, his demons were not comrades, they were pawns. And pawns could be discarded at any time. The war against the Hashiras. Nezuko grew stronger. Muzan grew restless. The Demon Slayer Corps had hunted him for centuries. Their swords, their breathing techniques, their endless determination, they were thorns in his side. But now, with Nezuko as the key, Muzan decided the time had come. He would destroy the Corps once and for all. He sent his upper ranks into battle. One by one, terrifying demons clashed with the Hashira, the strongest of the Slayers. Akaza, upper rank 3, fought the Flame Hashira, Kyojuro Rengoku. Their battle was fierce, flames lighting up the night. Though Rengoku fell, Akaza was forced to retreat, wounded and enraged. Daki and Gyutaro, the siblings of upper rank 6, fought in the entertainment district. Though powerful, they were slain by Tanjiro and his companions, with the sound Hashira, Tengenuzui playing a key role. Gyako and Hantengu, upper ranks 5 and 4, struck next. They faced the Mist and Love Hashira, Michiro, Tokido, and Mitsuri, Kanroji, as well as Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya. Both demons were defeated. Even Akaza himself eventually fell to the combined might of Ju Tomioka and Tanjiro. And finally, Kakashibo, upper rank 1 and Muzan's most loyal demon, battled the Stone, Wind, and Mist Hashira alongside Genya. After a brutal struggle, Kakashibo was defeated as well. For the first time in centuries, the upper ranks began to fall. Muzan's empire of fear was crumbling, but Muzan was not afraid. Not yet. The death of Kagaya Yubuyashiki, leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. Kagaya Yubuyashiki knew his time was short. His body was weak, eaten away by illness, but his spirit was strong and his wisdom unmatched. Kagaya had studied Muzan for years. He knew the Demon King would one day come for him, and so Kagaya prepared a trap. When Muzan arrived at the Yubiyashiki estate, expecting to crush the Corps' leader, he found Kagaya waiting calmly. Beside him sat his wife, Amane. Their children stood nearby. Muza and mocked him. He promised to wipe out his bloodline, but Kagaya only smiled. In that moment, the estate exploded. Kagaya had sacrificed himself, his wife, and his home to wound Muzan and trap him. Though Muzan survived, the explosion weakened him. And before he could recover, the Hashira attacked the Infinity Castle with a command from Nakini, the Biwa playing demon who controlled the Infinity Castle. Muzan pulled the Demon Slayer Corps into his domain. The castle was endless, shifting, twisting. Walls moved, floors collapsed, rooms spun like puzzles. Within this nightmare, the Slayers were forced to fight for their lives. It was here the final war began. The Hashira fought with everything they had. Demons and Slayers clashed in battles that shook the very foundations of the castle. One by one, Muzan's most powerful servants fell, and at the heart of it all waited Muzan himself. The final battle, Muzan versus humanity. When Muzan finally appeared, his presence was overwhelming. His body shifted constantly, flesh warping into weapons. His strength was unimaginable, his speed was unstoppable. The Hashira, Tanjiro, and his friends threw themselves at him. Blades flashed, techniques roared, and blood was spilled, but Muzan was more than a demon. He was the embodiment of fear itself. Every strike that landed healed instantly, every wound closed. Every moment felt hopeless. Yet the Slayers refused to stop. Talmire, the demon who once served Muzan, played her role perfectly. She had developed a medicine using the secrets of the blue spider lily. With the help of Shinobu Kako, the insect Hashira, she had prepared a trap. During the battle, Tamayo struck Muzan with the medicine, injecting him with a poison that began to break down his body. Muzan howled in fury, crushing Tamayo, but the damage was done. The medicine spread inside him, weakening him little by little. The Hashira fought desperately, buying time. The birth of the sun. As the night dragged on, the Slayers realized their only hope: survive until dawn. If they could hold Muzan until the sun rose, the Demon King would finally face his greatest enemy. But Muzan knew this as well. He fought with even greater rage, determined to slaughter them all before the first light of day. One by one, the Hashira fell. Kyojuro was already gone. Shinobu had sacrificed herself earlier. Now others gave their lives, their blades, and their blood to keep Muzan at bay. Tanjiro, wounded and battered, refused to give up. Nezuko, now resistant to sunlight, became the symbol of hope. Humanity's future stood against the Demon Kings. Endless night, the battle raged until at last, the first rays of dawn touched the battlefield. Muzan screamed. His body began to burn, his flesh bubbled and cracked. His regeneration failed. The sun, his eternal enemy, had found him. Muzan's last gamble. Tanjirovan. As his body crumbled, Muzan refused to accept defeat. In his final act of desperation, he released all of his blood and cells into Tanjiro's body, turning him into a demon. If Tanjiro could conquer the sun as Nezuko did, Muzan's will would live on. For a brief moment, it seemed his plan had worked. Tanjiro rose as a demon, stronger than ever, resistant to sunlight. But unlike Muzan, Tanjiro's heart was pure. His friends Zenitsu, Inosuke, and above all, Nezuko called out to him. Their voices reached through the darkness. Tanjiro resisted Muzan's influence. He refused to become the new Demon King. Inside his mind, Muzan screamed and raged. He begged Tanjiro to continue his will, to destroy the Demon Slayer Corps, to rule the world, but Tanjiro rejected him. With that, Muzan's consciousness faded. His last chance at immortality was gone. The death of Muzan Kibutsuji. As the sun rose higher, Muzan's body finally turned to ash. His screams echoed, then vanished. The Demon King was no more. After more than 1,000 years, the nightmare ended. Humanity was free. Muza and Kibutsuji The first and strongest demon was gone forever, legacy of Firth how he died. Muzan left behind a world scarred by his presence. Families destroyed, countless lives lost. Centuries of fear, but his death also left behind something else. Hope. The Demon Slayer Corps disbanded, their mission complete. Nezuko lived as proof that demons could be resisted. Tanjiro, though scarred, returned to his humanity. Muzan had sought perfection, he had sought to conquer death. But in the end, he was defeated not by power, but by the very things he despised: sacrifice, compassion, and the unbreakable will of humans. The story of Muzan Kibutsuji is not just the tale of a demon, it is the story of fear itself, how courage can overcome even the darkest night.